Did you set a... Huh? What?
Huh?
What?
What'd you say?
What?
Well, there's your intro. Well, actually, the first part that I thought we should talk about is the summer shows. I don't remember when we started with the first. We started in May, I think. It seems that we had some May and June shows that sort of ran together, and then we had a couple of really big fun ones sort of right towards the end of summer.
Crap, I don't know. The summer blew by.
Yeah, it did, but it seems...
That's right. We had the May 2 in a row. 2 nights Canyon show, and then the one at Diamonds.
That thing, right?
For, what's her name?
Wayland?
With
Wayland.
Yep. And then I don't remember. I mean, I think we played well. That was the cool thing. Even when we were with like little crowds, which those shows were, it feels like the live show is better than it was when we left off. You know what I mean? I just feels like we're putting on better performances.
Every show.
Yeah. And then came the Puddle of Mud show.
That was a killer crowd, man.
That was crazy good.
Wes got arrested, though. I got a
gun charges. Is that what I said?
Gun charges at LAX.
Oh, after that show?
It was a BB gun.
No, like,
I just got the.
Oh.
I got an email
Just
from
happened.
Vesta today that said, "Hey, Wes got picked up
For a BB gun.
for a BB gun."
I'm glad we opened for him.
Metal!
Don't shoot your eye out, kid.
You know, that one was funny too, because as it was coming up, we kept having people kind of off to the side. No one would ever directly, loudly ask, but it was always, "So, what do you think? How's he going to be when he shows up?" And even I know that, like when we showed up, all of us were kind of, "So, is anybody seen Wes? Is Wes here? How's Wes doing? What do you think of Wes?" And yeah, we saw the band. I mean, we watched them sound check, but I think we saw Wes when they had started their set. We never saw him
just
before the show.
before
As we were unloading, passing, that was it.
Yeah. But that show was awesome. I mean, that crowd was so ready to play. They wanted a show, and I think we straight up gave it to them.
Yeah, we worked through some adversity and did our job and kicked its ass, and that was a stellar crowd.
Yeah.
I think they dug what we were doing. I know I was digging what they were doing. I really fed off of them, and
Let's talk about
it
that
was
for a
just
minute.
all up across the front, just rocking out.
Let's talk about that for a minute. The exchange of energy that you get from a good crowd. I mean, how do you even explain that? I mean, how do you explain it to somebody that's never done it? You know what I mean?
It's a symbiosis. It really is.
Yeah.
It's we're parasitic on stage. I think more so than the crowd realizes. Crowds always look parasitic, like they're the ones just sucking the energy from the band.
Right.
And I think that's the complete opposite. The band is the parasite. They're the symbiote in that relationship. If the crowd sucks, it's really hard to perform. I mean, you have
Agreed.
to tap into your reserves, pull out what you can, and fake a smile.
Yeah.
Right?
Very
and
much so.
play your ass off.
Yep.
But when you've got a crowd that's into it, man, it's just like a pipeline of energy. None of the smiles are faked.
Right.
You can run across stage. You play your ass off. You can engage one-on-one with somebody. There's nothing better than that.
So, and I wonder too, because there's with Fool's Bane, I mean, there's 4 of us up front, and then the drummer is, on a riser behind us. Do you still get? I mean, you're looking over us and over your huge kit.
Yeah.
And do you still get that kind of rush off the crowd? That because I know for us, it's damn near an electrical current. Do you get the same kind of vibe when you get a good crowd going?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. Even if I feed off of you guys. But the way I look at it is at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I'm the one that's either counting it off, starting stuff off, or trying to get the crowd to get a little bit more involved with everything that we're doing, even though we know our stuff to a T pretty much because we practiced that set over and over and over and over and over for that summer run of shows. But no, each show, I think, throughout the summer and whatnot was really fun. Like you said, a lot of energy from all the different crowds. There wasn't a whole lot during the weekend with Wayland shows, but that Puddle of Mud show was definitely tops for me.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I now that you mention it, it is almost that. It's almost an energy cycle, because I know, and we've all remarked on this, when Brian starts doing Brian stuff.
Holy yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
You can feed off the crowd, but equally as much.
The crowd feeds off.
Brian, I mean, if he's feeling it, then I'm right there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a moment during the Puddle of Mud show where I even mentioned this after the show, Brian, that you started doing some sort of gallop on the drums, and the crowd reacted to it, and it was a fantastic thing to witness.
Hell yeah.
Didn't matter what anybody else was doing. I think I was in the middle of singing some lyrics, and I'm just like, it was obvious that they're getting off to the drummer right now, and I thought that was really cool.
I think that one of the neat things that's happened with the band, I think especially since Brian's come in, is as performers, we've all gotten better. I mean, I think our live show, for the first time during these summer shows, I think we kind of hit the potential that we can do live. I mean, we've always been good in the studio, but our live show now, I think we proved that in front of some good crowds too. We can bring, just as much energy as the national touring band coming through. I mean, especially considering, that our music does have some ups and some downs dynamically. It's cool that I think the live show's gotten better for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's fun to write those to push and pull a crowd and pump them up as the opening band, or, knock them out the door as a headliner. And with the material we have, it makes it really easy to craft that energy, I guess.
It's kind of like writing a good song. You're writing a good set list, and you have enough pieces to kind of put it where you want it.
Talk about that. Talk about the construction of a set list. I mean, we do a different set list depending on what position we're on the show. We do a different set list depending on who else is on the show, whether it's going to be a straight rock show or whether it's going to be a little bit more varied. David, especially as lead singer, there's a lot that goes into that on your end too, because you have to work your vocals around it.
There's also a lot of time. Don't forget that. Yeah. We have a 30-minute or an hour set.
So it depends on a number of factors. But yeah, I definitely am always thinking about my voice, but less so as of late. Like this summer, I don't know if vocal range and stamina and ability to sing has just fallen into its own zone. So it's been less of a concern for me this year than it has been in the past. Because before, I would look for a way to not just try to please the crowd, but try to please my vocals, especially when we do a 2-hour set. But it's not as much of a concern for me anymore vocally. But as far as the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows and how is this going to feel, and then who's the opening act or closing act and all that. I mean, it's really not that you'll get it perfect, but if we can get it close, it's usually a pretty good time. So
I think that just goes into your evolution as a singer too. I mean, you're a different vocalist now than you were, when we put the first record out, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we found that if David can hear himself well when we're in a live set, then he doesn't have to compensate so hard. And so he can extend that range, and having that on-stage sound is so important. And
huge.
It's absolutely huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only thing that saved us a few times this year is being as well rehearsed as we are, and having a drummer that knows what kick goes after what snare.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Knows exactly where he is in the song, what he's playing, how the song starts, how the song ends, and everything in between. Well, Brian saved our ass a lot this year.
Yeah, we have the confidence we've never had before up on stage, because we know that we can pull it off, even with bad sound.
Or no sound.
Or no sound. Half our stuff not mic'd off. We are confident because we know our stuff and we know everybody else in the band. Everybody can do their part.
Yeah, that's definitely been something. I think there is a confidence. There's not an overconfidence. I mean, I think a band, when you go on stage, you have to have a certain swagger.
Edge,
Yeah, you have to have that. Not an overconfidence, not a cockiness, but a little bit of an ego about your performance and the material. If you weren't good, you wouldn't be on the stage. And I think all of us kind of carry that up when we go up there. And of course, everybody too. The roles as to what we're playing are very defined. I mean, we all know what we do, and like you said, I mean, we rehearse our asses off. I don't think people know how hard we will rehearse for a 30-minute show. If we have a show coming up, that's what we focus on.
Well, we had a 30-minute show in Idaho Falls for the Eclipse set. Guess what? We played it nearly perfectly.
Yeah, that was we need to talk about that show. I mean, that's how do you even explain that weekend?
I still have a boner for that show.
Honestly.
I think that was the show we've always wanted to play.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We got a taste of what it can be like.
We got a taste of kind of what we would like to see our existence kind of move to. I mean, are we going to have to play club shows? Sure. I mean, that's the nature of what it is. But do we fit a theater with big lights and big sound better?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's big sound, big lights, big crowd. I mean, that crowd was killer.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
wanted music. They didn't care. I think we could have been a death metal vomit band.
True.
And they would have eaten it up.
Yeah, and Brian could have played the drums.
That's true.
When I would say, I mean, that whole weekend, we showed up. We played Sunday. We showed up Saturday because they had a bunch of tech rehearsals and
it was Eclipse weekend in Idaho Falls. Remember that?
That's right. So we were kind of spooked about the traffic.
Line of totality.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were going to drive into, and that first day was grueling.
Jeez.
Oh, man.
Well, we were there for 11
12 hours, almost 12 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah.
That's right. We stopped. We ate lunch in the parking lot, and then went in and loaded gear in and started. Then we did a whole lot of waiting, because we weren't the headliners, and a few more bricks who played were the headliners of the show. They had so much tech stuff they had to go to. I mean, they had to rehearse crashing a plane, for God's sake.
Right. Well, we played our set twice.
Yes,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Because we had sound check.
Yep.
And then we had the technical check. And then
Dress
we're like,
rehearsal.
hey,
Dress
we're done for the day. We're Foolscast. We come in, we load up our shit, we play our set, we go. That's
Right.
how it works for us, right?
Yep.
Not with a few more bricks. Then there was the dress rehearsal.
That's right. They had us completely dress down into our stage clothes, and which I wasn't ready for. I think none of us were ready for.
I wasn't ready for it.
So we played the show as if we were performing it, and I guess we got some video was shot and some pictures were shot and whatnot, and then so we finish up at the theater that night, 11-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we and this is where we have to start talking about the personalities of the people we worked with.
Right, because we got to stay at Mr. and Mrs. Russ's.
That's right. Russ, the amazing
Russ
keyboard
family.
player for
Yes,
a few
we
more
know
breaks.
Shauna has a name.
But we just knew them as Russ, Mrs. Russ. There was Baby
There was
Russ.
Baby Russ, there was little girl Russ and little boy Russ, and yeah.
Lots of Russes. And so we get to his place roughly midnight-ish,
Yeah.
and they feed us
Pulled pork. Ghost pepper barbecue sauce.
chips and drinks.
Beer.
Yeah.
At midnight, they let us into their home.
Never
and they've
met them
got-
before. We've
Never.
known them for like 8 hours.
Yeah, we had known them 8 hours. And honestly, was there any person in that band or in that circumstance that was unpleasant?
It was a privilege.
It was
an
Yeah.
absolute privilege.
Absolutely.
Maybe the best weekend I've ever had playing in bands, and I've been
I
doing
think
it for
so too. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
My gosh, it was from top to bottom.
Even the trip through there, worrying about all the
was-
traffic on
yeah.
the way there, it's like, well,
It was-
it's
it
not
was
that
really
bad,
nothing,
really.
was it?
You know?
And I was going to say, above all, we all got to spend time with each other and just had fun all
Yeah.
weekend.
I laughed a lot.
me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
We got to see our singer hit on, our drummer a lot.
Well, it was going to be a long night.
You did it all weekend. You did it both days.
and I mean, just
He
everybody.
doesn't look at me when we talk about this.
Dude, I don't want to look at
There's
you
a
when you
part
talk
we don't
about it.
know.
I think we're all a little uncomfortable. I think the whole experience with them, every single person in the band, the backup singers, drums, bass, guitars, sound guys, light guys, videographers.
Yeah,
everyone was so professional, were so nice to us, treated us so. I mean, we were there to play a 30-minute show, and they gave us. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet for us.
Yeah.
Those are the gigs that make the thousands of dollars that we've spent on gear that we'll never see back. And all of the hours of rehearsal and everything we go. It made it completely worth it. It was just an absolute blast.
And a sax player that is one of the finest musicians I've met.
Absolutely.
An amazing musician.
Unbelievable. That guy, Kevin, the sax player, and mind you, all of the guys in A Few More Bricks are top-notch players.
Totally.
But Kevin he has a solo in the middle of this set where it's just him and some keyboard pad and the lights, and it's like the whole universe is coming out of his sax at one point. It was just mind-blowingly good.
It was neat.
Yeah. And Tim's lights, there was an eclipse on stage.
Yeah.
Lasers.
The visual aspect was really nice as well. Even just being an outsider and, okay, what are these guys about? Of course, they're covering Pink Floyd, but it's like, what do they got to bring to it? And, yeah, just watching the tech rehearsal and everything, too, for me, it was like, wow, I am very humble and awesome to be a part of this whole show, because I think it's going to turn out great. And
it was.
Lo and behold, it did.
And then let's talk about that finale. We all get on stage and finish with them. They call us up for their final song, and we all play Comfortably Numb together. Now, once again, I mean, Tracy and I especially, because we're the old men in the band, we played, lots and lots of shows, and we've played for lots and lots of years. During that show, and that song in particular, I got chills on stage. That doesn't happen very often, but the fact it was just, there was so much energy and the crowd was so into it. Who told me that one of the Russ family was crying?
Oh, it was baby girl Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crying as we're finishing.
She said that she watched it and it moved her to tears.
Yeah.
I just thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, you can influence a teenager.
Yeah.
Say yeah again, David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and that's where it all went off the rails.
That's where it's all
So,
over.
affecting youth and giving them motivation is, awesome.
So, now we're after that one, I think we all kind of agreed, okay, we played a bunch of shows. Let's settle in for a little bit. We're not going to go chasing shows for a little while. And now and especially, after that one, pretty easy to let that be the icing on the cake for our summer and kind of, step forward and see what we're going to do next. And what we're going to do next turns out that we've started writing again, and we were just talking today again about maybe jumping in and doing some studio stuff. Let's talk a little bit about that. The writing aspect, we already have kind of 1.5-ish tunes happening right now. Mm-hmm. And once again, it being us, it's two very different flavors going on in the same writing session, which is one of the things I love about this band.
And now that we're really back to writing, the energy's there, and I love that we got Brian really, really in on the process now. And I think that's making a difference. It's a whole new feel for us. Mm-hmm. And it's this excitement that hasn't been there for, forever.
And this is the first time, Brian's been in the band now for a year and change, and this is the first time he's actually, now Conflict is out. We've played shows supporting Conflict. Now Brian's getting to dig in and put his DNA and his fingerprints on our stuff. And it's been wonderful. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we wrote or started to write was triggered off his drum beat. It was, we spun and looked at him and went, oh my God, don't stop doing that. Where did that one come from, bud? Did you practice that at home, or did it just fall out of you?
Yeah, actually I've had that kind of beat stuck in my head for a couple years previous and whatnot, and then just trying to keep up chops, whatever, and just doing different beats and different time patterns and this, that, and the other. But yeah, that's kind of always been with me the last couple years at least, and I'm kind of glad I can get it out to bring on the new chapter of Fool's Bane, basically. And I'm really happy to be kind of starting fresh with everybody, as I'm sure you guys are happy
Hell yeah.
enough to start fresh instead of beating yourself up,
Exactly.
after 6 years of trying to write Conflict or whatever.
Well, I mean, listen
But,
to how
I mean-
big Eerie Presence is. That's
Yeah.
the working
Yeah.
title
Yeah,
for the
working
first
title.
song we've been working on, and
Yeah.
holy cow, it's
Pretty
huge,
it's like cinematic, thematic.
and sinister at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It has a big fanfare feel to it. It's just huge. And the thing is, when we write something, it gets 2 lives. We'll write it, we'll rehearse it out here in the cave. Then we'll take it into the studio, and that's when it starts. That's when it like triples in size, because that's when our heads start to say, we should put a harmony on that. We should double track that. We
Miss
should put a
this.
thickener in there.
Layer.
Yeah. Then the vocals, and then the percussion, and let's put an acoustic and a 12
How
string.
did we miss this idea?
Yeah, exactly. But that's one of the fringe benefits of being in a band that also has a studio right here. I mean, we can do that kind of thing. I did have a question. Somebody shot a question at me that said, when should we expect some more Fool's Band material? And I think they meant recorded stuff. And we just had that discussion today before we started doing this.
So we do have a piece shortly after Brian joined the group that I got together with Brian. We had an evening with show we played, big 2.5, 3 hour show, and so I decided, Brian, let's get together and write something. I finally have a drummer that I can get together. We can do this. The excitement's there, And so we wrote this thing called Tabula Rasa. And we've been
Which I
talking
love, because it
Explain
means
the title.
Yeah,
Explain
yeah.
the title
Tabula
first.
Rasa basically means clean slate or
Clean slate,
fresh
yeah.
start. And the idea of that was we have a new drummer. The band is just starting fresh. We've been beating ourselves up for a long time, just not feeling happy with the direction. And then everything happened. We found Brian. He found us. There was a love connection. And
We threw together a 2.5 set show to get back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
2.5 hours.
We broke Brian in with 2.5 hours set.
And
pretty brutal.
So then we write this drum and bass thing, and it turned out all right. So we've been talking about laying that one down, and that's probably going to be our first, Brian's first experience with the group.
Yep.
We were talking about
Break
it.
him in.
Break him in. And we're kind of bringing up what we need to do, and I remember you saying, yeah, it's pretty much solidified. We just need to go and lay it down. I just started laughing. It's like, you have no idea what the Fool's Band process is like. This will be
Prepare
a
yourself.
completely different thing by the time we're done.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's all right. I mean, as far as just for bass and drum part, that was awesome what we did, but I am looking forward to either more guitars, keyboards, whatever on top of that. I mean, that's just a big buffet we can make even bigger.
Well, and that's the
Today
way
it's buffet.
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 Oh,
And that's really
Jimmy.
kind of the way we look at all of it. I mean, that's
It's always a buffet.
It's always been fun to take our material and take it to the furthest extent. You know what I mean? Take a song and make it the absolute most that it can be. I mean, there have been times that we've added too much and gone, okay, hold on, let's scale it back. We're getting away from what the song actually is. But we like to deluxify songs. And speaking of which, that's one of the other things we talked about recording and maybe doing like kind of a single, like A side, B side, if it was old school, and doing Infiltrator, which is one of our older songs. I mean, it's from the first album,
Alpha.
but it has turned into something completely different. I mean, there's the riffs are still there, but David plays keyboards on it now, and it's huge. And it never had a guitar solo. And when you have a lead guitar player that can do the horrifying things that you can do, it seemed like one of our heaviest tunes, and there's no lead. So we kind of built the song to have a lead in it. And now it doesn't sound anything like what's on the record at all.
I mean, it does to an extent, but at the same time, it's got elements that are just new. I mean, even the intro, there's no talking part, which was
That always bugged me, that speaking part.
but the new part that actually there was not long after we put it out, we rewrote the intro to have a singing part, and we actually nuggeted that part in The King and the Thief on Time Traveler, but it's never been officially recorded for the part that it was rewritten for.
Yeah.
So
That's right. That's
someday.
So, in addition to all of that, we've played this one live, and it's gone over every time we've played this version of it live now. I mean, it's become one of our staples. On the Evening With show, it and Rage of Angels were the openers, weren't
Together,
Yeah.
Let's talk about Snap Necks.
they? Yeah, just ferocious. And I've actually had people ask me about that song. Ask me, so are you guys going to, where can I hear that? And I said, well, you can hear the original version on Alpha, on our first record, but the one you want to hear is the one we haven't quite gotten recorded yet. But
It's a learning curve. It's all a learning curve.
I think the trick to that one too is going to be translating that, because it's ferocious.
Only see where we reapproach something and make it better. We're the opposite of George Lucas. We're the anti-Lucas, right? We reapproach something and make it better.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty much how it is.
So what you're saying is we will not be CGIing giant lizards into the background.
No. Not going to step on the assassin's tail. Although I've been bugging these bastards for years to redo Alpha, I don't think it'll ever come to fruition.
Well, but you know what? Look at it this way: you got some.
There's
of
time. We can do it.
Yeah.
I'm more on board with that than you have than I've realized than you've realized, because I've recently been re-listening to Alpha, and the parts that can be sung better and be more, I don't know, there's just vocally it's not anywhere near where it needs to be. Musically it's pretty solid, but and then there can be some added influences with keys. We're missing something if we don't do it. So
I think what holds us back is that once we get in here, the creativity just
I know,
comes
it
out.
is hard.
We start
It's
writing,
hard.
and it's like,
It's
why go backwards to do something, even though it'd be great to, make it the way it was.
Because we're the anti-Lucas, Chris.
Yeah, full of that creativity.
No, remember, Lucas was creative once. That got weird.
Yeah,
Imagine
Ewoks.
that. So as we're putting together,
Ewoks, dude.
so as we, kind of step forward, and we're, there is going to be some more recording, firing the studio back up, getting Brian involved in that process, and writing stuff. Now the challenge is this. And Conflict took us 6 years to finish. And I've thought about it. I mean, it turned out great. I'm very happy with the music on there. But a lot of that music, I think about it, some of that music was 4 years old.
Older.
You know what I
Dirt,
mean?
man.
Yeah.
By the time,
Oh my
we
gosh.
started writing that record when Brian was in junior high. So,
Pretty close.
and now I think we all kind of feel this way. There's nothing financially stopping us from putting out the album.
Nope.
Doing our next record. The only thing that's holding us back right now is getting the material, written and then recording it. I think we want to prove that we don't have to take that long to make an album. It's almost like a challenge. You know what I mean? Can you turn out an album of
we
that
certainly
quality?
proved we can take our time on an album.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
we nailed that one.
Hey.
I mean, we thought we proved it with the King and the Thief was 4 years, but no, we had to go 6 years. We had to outdo ourselves.
Right. So now the challenge is, putting out our fourth album, and just out of curiosity, how long do you think it'll take us to do it? When do you think we put out the next album?
Year and a half.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
kinda-
almost-
That was what I was
kinda-
going to say.
Yeah,
Year and a
I'm
half.
kind of there too, like 18 months.
I want to say more ambitious, but I know more realistically it ain't going to be.
Because honestly, if we say a year or less, then we'd be pressuring ourselves.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't
especially
come
if
out
you guys
right.
want to do
Forcing
Tabula
too
Rasa
many
and
songs.
And Alpha.
and,
Right.
and
No, I
anti-Lucas, Chris. Anti-Lucas.
I would think that the material will come first, and once we know what's going to be on the record, we always end up writing a little bit more than what we need for the album, and so that way, if there's something we'll end up with stuff that gets thrown when we put out our boxed set that no one buys. Then you can hear the stuff we never put on the albums. But I think once we get the material, once we lock in and we're actually recording, it doesn't take as long as one would think. I mean, I think we've gotten pretty good about tracking stuff, and we through trial and error, we figured out what works and what
It's
doesn't.
usually like it can at tops. It's usually like 1 or 2 sessions a piece, depending on the song.
Yeah, agreed.
To get your part down.
Till it becomes a 4-session, 6-session, 8-session piece, and
Well, can we-
David's rolling his eyes, but
No, I know what
I'm
you're saying with
Perfectly
that.
honest
Yeah.
about that. Okay, these guys want to record Tabula Rasa. Okay, there are 2 parts written to that. Mm-hmm. What happens with Fool's Bane is they're going to hear that and they're going to, ooh, I can do this. Ooh, I can do that. And suddenly that quick recording turns into, let's do 27 more tracks on this freaking out.
Right. Oh, hey, I could totally
And
put
then-
an acoustic in.
Oh,
here.
yeah. Okay, so we're going to do Infiltrator. That should only take us one session. Okay, I'm the realist. I'm the pragmatic guy.
That's because
okay?
you're the guy sitting at the board.
I'm the guy sitting at the board, and I'm the one that turns
Doing all
into-
the work where we don't give a
I've been trying to, warm Brian up to the fact that I become a different person when I'm in the studio.
Right.
And I kind of turn dickish.
Right.
It's like, let's get this done right. You've screwed that up. I've got a new fart gun in there, guys, by the way. So
Excellent.
That'll help us with tracking. But yeah, we're not going to do Infiltrator in 1 or 2 sessions. It takes us longer than you think.
No, I did.
Add, take 2 sessions, add 20 hours.
Yeah, but I got to say one thing about that,
a
though.
couple of sessions each, and that adds up.
Your dickishness has made a big difference in the quality of product that's come out. You insisting that we redo it and redo it and redo it. No,
the
that's
parts
not
right,
good enough. And
it'll turn out
not
great.
letting us settle has made a world of difference in the product that we have.
Well, I think we all learn each album, too. I mean, we learn as far as recording processes. The one that occurred to me, as you were just talking about this, when we did Conflict, Tracy, you and I laid down... oceans of guitars. Too much guitar. We ended up with far too much. And because we were getting such great tone and great performances, we didn't need to do all the doubling and thickening and whatnot that we did. So that's one thing that we know. That's one thing that we learned. Another thing that we learned is don't try and get big, long performance takes. Don't Nickelback it is what you would call it. Don't play 4 measures, play 4 measures, play 4 measures, and stitch it together. It starts to sound robotic.
Okay, you can either lay in a note here or you can play the part right, dude. That's
exactly
how it is.
Exactly, and as a result, you can hear it in the performances on Conflict. It's very much there's a lot more organic, living, breathing musician in there than I think there would be had we stitched it, frame by frame by frame.
And that just sucks. I mean, we kind of did that with King of the Thief.
Yeah.
And it's not as
You're right.
sexy, you know? And we made sure we went back and we did the vocals over and over and over again for every singer.
Yep.
To hit, so it was in tune.
Yep.
That cut post-production time immensely by hours and days.
And we made sure that another thing that we really went for with the vocals is emotional content. It had to be the right feel. It had to be the right vibe for the song. David was his own worst critic. Didn't he come back and say, nope, I got to do the whole song again on more than one track?
Grand Surveyor, Rage, I know those ones. It was like a year.
It was more than a couple, okay? So here, we're going back to a couple of sessions per song. I think we re-recorded Rage 4 times, Grand Surveyor 5 or 6 times, but every performance was better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the last one that I did was the second time through, and that was the closer. Forgot what it's called.
What Lies Become.
Yeah, What Lies Become.
The rest of us know our songs.
Yeah, well.
I think there's
I
one
mostly
rule.
know them.
There's one rule we could make right now that will make sure the album goes faster than the last one. Can we agree no horn section?
Yes.
Not unless the song needs it.
and there's
the Fool's Bane filter.
That's it. That's the Fool's Bane mantra. That's the filter. Is everybody gets a take. Everybody gets to throw their own their opinion on it. We tend to rule by democratic process. If we all agree that this track needs something, then we add to it. If we all agree that it doesn't make the album, it doesn't make the album. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Sorry, guys. This album is Chicago Bane.
Oh boy.
Sometimes it's hard though. Sometimes the filter will be like, "We're done." That happened with the horn section song.
Yeah,
Underneath
that's right.
the Stone. So, but there was one last vocal that kind of came.
I don't
to me.
think that was filter so much as
everybody was exhausted and tired.
Yep.
6 years. I get
exhaustion.
it. But there was
you pressed in the right place.
Yeah,
no question.
I wouldn't have brought it up had it not been what it ended up being. Yeah.
Worthy. You knew it was going to be necessary, and everyone's like, "Okay, let's hear it."
Yeah,
Dick.
it was like that.
Let's hear it, Dick.
All right.
prove to us
Get
what
it over
this
with.
idea is, and then,
Ooh,
well,
okay.
let's
do that.
let's crank up the DAW, baby.
So with all of this said, we know that we want to try and get a record done in 18 months. I mean, it's ambitious for us, but it's something that we want to do, and it's something that we can do. And then after that, when we start to look at shows again, one of the decisions that we've kind of made as a group is that we want to play some places that we haven't done. We want to go back. We would like to go back to Idaho Falls again because we had such a great time there. We'd like to go to get into Salt Lake. We'd like to get back into Boise. It's been forever since we played Boise. What is it that what would be an appealing gig for you right now? I mean, if you could pick one, what would you want to do?
Big Stages West Coast tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
With support.
With support, yeah,
Yep.
and that's the thing too. We're kind of stuck there because right now, we have to play with other bands. I mean, we're not a headliner in a lot of those markets, so we're always going to have to go on with another band and finding bands that match with us.
Oh,
It's a unique challenge.
It really is. It really is.
What do you sound like? Fool's Bane.
Worst question you could ever ask us. So, what do you guys sound like?
Foolsbane.com, buy the album Conflict. That's what we sound like.
Exactly. Buy the album. Buy the album.
Buy it.
Which is what worked with like the Pink Floyd crowd, that Puddle of Mud crowd, oddly enough. They appreciated the slow, the heavy, the melodic. I mean, everything that we do,
All
they
aspects.
loved it all. It didn't have to be one speed
Right.
or one style for them to like it. It was
People
just,
are opening up to variety, it seems, lately.
Yes.
And I'm glad for that because
Me too.
Early on with us, it wasn't that way. But
Yeah.
I've noticed as of late, people are coming back around to that. It can have the dynamics, like a Pink Floyd dynamic. But
right.
we have more of an eclectic sound.
Yeah.
If you had to describe it, you couldn't describe it in terms of who we sound like, but you could say it sounds eclectic because it's a combination of sounds.
Boutique.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're a boutique
Yeah.
band.
I love the fact that the same band that plays Infiltrator also plays here now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The same band that has Time Traveler has Infiltrator. So that's your Fool's Cast, and we will do another Fool's Cast the next time we feel like we have to do a Fool's Cast. And if you have anything you want to ask us or anything you want to throw in or whatever, feel free to do so. Let's throw a big, huge thanks to our friends with a few more bricks.
Oh
Yeah,
my
a few more
gosh.
bricks.
Thank you.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. Thank you guys. That was amazing.
And we'll do that anytime you guys want to do that.
And I'm going back to Idaho Falls for Mrs. Russ's pulled pork.
We will be there for the pulled pork. That's your Fool's Cast.
And don't forget, Foolsbane.com. Go buy the album Conflict. You can still buy the album King and the Thief. Foolsbane.com. Also available on cdbaby.com. King of the Thief is also available on Amazon.com.
And coming
You can
soon.
get mastered for iTunes files through iTunes. They're as good as the album. Go get them, guys.
And coming soon to Bandcamp, or not, depending on if I get it finished. That's your Fool's
Yeah,
Cast.
thanks for hanging with us.
Thank you.
The gentle sunset to the west, the glow of setting set my